We hear a lot about unconditional love, but what about unconditional obedience? We often say, Lord, I'll follow you, but sometimes with a condition. For instance, I'll follow you as long as it makes sense. I will follow you as long as I'm comfortable, as long as I understand why, as long as I know how it's going to turn out. But true obedience doesn't negotiate with God. Jesus said, if you love me, keep my commandments. Obedience means trusting God enough to follow Him even when we don't understand everything. Think about Elijah in 2 Kings 1. God gave him a difficult message to deliver to the king. Elijah didn't negotiate or soften God's word. He simply obeyed. Then there's Peter in Matthew 14. Jesus told him, "Come," and Peter stepped out of the boat. But when Peter saw the wind and waves, fear took over. Isn't that often how we are? We're willing to trust God when the water is calm. But when the wind starts blowing, we begin asking, God, are you sure? Why is this happening? How is this going to work? And like Peter, we take our eyes off Jesus and focus on the waves. That's why unconditional obedience requires trust before understanding. James says, be doers of the word, not hearers only. And Samuel reminds us that to obey is better than sacrifice. God isn't looking for people who simply know His word. He wants people to trust His word enough to act on it. That means obeying whether it is convenient or not, and whether it suits or not. It is forgiving when we still feel hurt, walking away from something God has told us to let go of, packing up and leaving when we do not know the destination. Obedience isn't a transaction, it is devotion. It is saying, Lord, I trust your wisdom more than mine. I trust your timing more than mine. I trust your ways more than my plans. And yes, that can be frightening, but it always pays off. Now, that doesn't mean we never ask God questions. The Bible is full of people who cried out to God in confusion. But there is a difference between asking God for understanding and making obedience conditional upon it. Sometimes God explains things to us. Sometimes He doesn't. But our responsibility remains the same. Trust and obey. So, what is God asking you to do? Maybe you're waiting for an explanation before obeying. Maybe you're holding on to something because you are afraid to let it go. Maybe Jesus is saying, come, but you're looking at the waves. Remember, the safest place isn't always where the water is calm. It is where Jesus is. You don't need to understand everything. You simply need to trust the one who does. Because sometimes faith doesn't say, I understand. It simply says, I trust you. And when God speaks, may our response be simple. No conditions, no excuses, no holding back, just trust and obey.